what does open science mean to you? How do you define it?
So what does open science mean to me? It means a number of things. It means making data results available to a wider constituency than the people who actually created the results. It means making more varied results available. So that means not just data. Well, in fact, data would be good. Not just publications or dead PDFs in traditional publishing fora, but actual data, methods, protocols, thoughts, all the range of things that we use when we're actually putting together science and doing scientific investigation, which kind of get left and forgotten about or kept locked in people's labs when they've published the final paper, if they ever publish the final paper. So it also means the revealing of what might be called the dark data of science, which is all that data, all those results that never see the light of day because it didn't quite work out, or the PhD student left, or they just were not particularly interesting at that particular point by that investigator, but actually would be very interesting to somebody else. So it's all of these kinds of things. And I know also that open science is often combined with ideas of crowdsourcing and combined with ideas of social networking of scientists. That isn't necessarily, that isn't necessary for something to be open. So my name's Carole Goble. I'm a professor of computer science at the University of Manchester, and I've spent the last 15 to 20 years building systems, software systems for scientists. So I started as a way of really challenging computer science. I particularly specialise in knowledge management and social computing, so the combination of social environments with the computing environments and ways of being able to do data integration. And this has led to a number of projects and products I'm quite well known for. So I've built probably the most widely used open source scientific workflow management system called Taverna. I've built several e-laboratories for people to be able to contribute and pool their knowledge and their sort of scientific assets. One for scientific workflows called My Experiment, one for systems biology for the whole of Europe called Seek, which covers data and models and things like this. Method box for statistical processes and variables for social science data, social science surveys, and the biocatalogue for web services in biology. And all of these have spawned their own little empires. So that's what I do.
I suppose they've been able to spawn because you've been doing stuff in an open source way.
Yeah, all my software is open source, and it's not just software. We have kind of whole teams, so we have a mixture of software engineers, scientific informaticians, scientists, and computer science researchers all work together. And we concentrate not just on the software, but also on the service. So each of my e-laboratories that I've built, it offers a public service or a community service. We concentrate also on content, so they actually have content either crowdsourced or sourced from projects. And we also do things like training and community engagements of various different kinds. So it's very holistic. It's not just here's some software, have it. It's a sort of entire solution which is developed in partnership with our scientists and scientific informaticians, as well as our engineers all the way through. So they sort of, go on a journey together. I'm an advisor on, I'm on the advisory committee of a new project funded by NERC called the Environmental Observatory. And at that meeting, they were saying that this is the kind of thing that we need to do. It's not a technology-driven approach. It's a social technology-driven approach, based on agile development, based on very collaborative work, and based on the fact that most of the major reasons why something is successful is because you've engineered the social processes and you've also engineered content and how to apply, say, standards or other things rather than the software itself. But it turns out the software itself is pretty cool too, and is, you know, available to other people. That was very important. It should be open. So that's actually raises an interesting point about open science. Key thing about open science is the openness, which sounds a bit, you know, of course, but that means that it's not just available for other people to use, other scientists to use, but it's also usable by other scientists. So an open source software project is only valuable if you can actually use the software. Both, you know, it's accessible and also reusable. And open science data, open science results are only actually useful if they are reusable in new contexts and available. So that's very important. So you have to be part of an ecosystem of resources, not siloed. So you do need this complete ecosystem of science and social aspects, and I think we succeeded for a number of reasons. I mean, we still are learning, of course. We haven't, you know, we're not squeaky clean, we're not perfect in any way, but we succeeded for a number of reasons. The first is we made terrible mistakes at the beginning. I come from a traditional database approach to things, and I've built systems that were incredibly esoterically interesting from the computer science point of view and completely useless from the science point of view, and I learned that. The second thing is that we work very closely with scientific informaticians, and I call them scientific informaticians because that's what they really are. I mean, a bioinformatician is an expert in the data resources and the computational techniques of biology, but not bench biologists. And to the gap between bench biology, say, and computer science is too big a gap, really. But those scientific informaticians, who in turn work with biologists or chemists or other kinds of scientists, really keep you grounded. They really keep you real. We've also worked a lot with social scientists. So I've given keynotes at eSocial Science international conferences and things like this. So we've worked very strongly with social scientists, and in fact our strongest collaborator in our e-laboratories is Professor David DeRoy, who's now Oxford, who is Professor of Digital Humanities actually, and he's also the UK's National Director of Infrastructure for Social Science. So it's very much in that area. And also, I'm quite, sounds a bit egotistical, quite a touchy-feely, empathetic person. I've always been interested in people. And that is not necessarily the case with some computer science developers.